Yaga Makai. Yaga Makai, this whole time he's been away, pretty much learning and learning the everything behind what's happening as far as the truth about the planet, what Mama Yaga came to do. And we learned that, Mama Yaga came here to pretty much balance the darkness and create life. Whereas Ivan Bakar's mother and origins was to be nothing but void in the abyss. And Mama Yaga came, and which is a character submitted by another player, an NPC. And we ended up making her like the god pretty much. But she came to create light. And we learned that Nibu, the First Nation, was corrupted by the void. The Mother of Darkness gave birth to Ivan, which was, she created life in order to destroy life, because Ivan would be then born and created to kill Mama Yaga. And there was a whole entire bloodline of the Nebi people who were corrupted by Ivan Bakar and the darkness and the void. And they got Mama Yaga out of there pretty much. And ever since then, there was some corruption in Nibu by a whole council of people, like a secret society of Nibu people who were actually there to work for Ivan. Makai learns of all this, and he is preparing, by learning the way of Yaga, he's preparing to come back and save his people. And this is what Mama Yaga wants him to do, is to go back and save her people. So this whole time you have Jeremiah, in Nibu, and taking over and oppressing the people, while Makai is preparing to come back. There is a funny little interesting dynamic there, because this time around, when players are choosing their actions, Jeremiah doesn't know if Yaga Makai is coming or staying where he is. So I feel like the reason Selena, a lot of the preparation that Jeremiah made was just in case Makai came back. And I think, Selena was there to kind of help deal with that. But it's funny because Makai actually, his goal wasn't to come back that episode. He actually stayed in that limbo space to kind of harness his powers. And that's what we saw there. We saw that in the first, I kind of opened it up. Not in the last two episodes, but that mini episode was just kind of setting the table. And we saw Makai floating through space. And he achieved the Yaga, the wolf chi beast form. He's floating through space in his wolf chi beast form, and learning and gaining knowledge and enlightenment, so that he can harness the power. And in this finale, Yaga Makai will be returning. What will he be doing when he returns? We don't know. Will he return? We don't know. Yaga Makai asks, do I have to spend the entire story phase reviving other characters, or can that be their own thing? Good question. So when Yaga Makai returns, it's going to be an event in and of itself. So reviving will not be required on your end. It's probably going to be something that automatically that I have happen. So you don't have to waste your details on, I'm going to revive Lectern. So that's what's going on with Yaga Makai. I just wanted to touch on that. He's stowed away and he's preparing. Rezanok Fenris. A lot is going on with Rezanok, but a lot I chose not to show. I'd rather that just be behind the scenes stuff. But obviously we see Rezanok working with with Ivan. So Ivan found Reznak, and Reznak was pretty much in a state of death, but not death, because he was pretty much neutralized and done away with by Manowar, who uses black holes, and Reznak's DNA adapts to what kills him and forms into his own alien version of that element or whatever killed him. He adapts. He's kind of like Abomination, or is it? Yeah, Abomination, or is it Doomsday? Doomsday. You know, Doomsday always adapts and evolves to whatever kills him. So whenever he comes back to fight Superman, he's even better. So Reznak is like that, and he was done away with by a black hole. But now he's resistant to anything that would displace him or move him from his current plane of existence. So he wasn't able to cross over into the void, and his soul was trapped inside of a dead body. Well, Ivan Bakara has some allies on his team who are able to speak with the dead, find the dead. There's a child that he took from the Gate Center. This child was being kept deep within the Gate Center, being studied and tested on, not in a bad way. But when they took over when they destroyed the Gate Center, this was one of the children that was taken. And the child's name, I can't recall his name, but he has some power over the dead. And this child is what was used to find Reznak. We can assume. And so Reznak was pretty much revived, and he's working for Ivan Bakara now. And Ivan placed the real fist of the Endless, as we saw on Reznak. He was bearing the fist, and you know, Ivan has been after the Ichromancer for some time now. Ivan always wanted to return and get the Ichromancer, because the Ichromancer is a tool that is used to delegate souls. When they die, they get sucked into the Ichromancer. It was used to keep the Servi Day. It was used to keep the Servi Day eternal, so they can continue to work on pretty much harvesting G-types for an eternity. Every time the life cycle started, their souls were being recycled through the Instigator's Ichromancer. Ivan, in previous episodes, went to take the Ichromancer, but was fended off by some powerful Servi Day types. And now he's back, and he has Reznak with him, who has the Fist of the Endless. And you see them pulling the Ichromancer out of there. And then Ivan Bakara uses the Instigator's knowledge to reverse the power of the Ichromancer to send souls that are in the abyss into the bodies of androids that are dormant from Anarchy's absence, creating a new race. All a little part of Ivan's plan. So now essentially what you have here is Ivan Bakara, who is already quite powerful, manipulative. He now has Reznak Fenrius on his side. What's going through Reznak's mind? Who knows? But what we do know is that, and this is what was submitted, that he has a hatred for Deftude. Why? Because he killed Nam, or hurt Nam, and took his child. And that's all I think he cares about. At least that's what his submission sounded like. But more on that in the finale. Reznak asks, can someone be brought back with Reznak in time when he uses that power of the fist? So what Reznak is asking, he's regarding, there's a fist. The Fist of the Endless has the ability to go back and manipulate something that happened in the past. And he's asking, can he bring people with him? No. Unless, the answer is no, but unless you can find a way to justify it, right? So all these abilities and keywords, when you have players with different abilities and then keywords to extend the justifications of those, and then you have players working with other players with other abilities and other keywords, almost anything is possible. You just have to be able to justify it. So if you're able to justify bringing somebody back in time with you, then sure you can. But in the meantime, by itself, no. Rezanok asks, is the fist's power able to still be controlled by Nuad? No, it's totally separate now. That was stripped, courtesy of Selena. His soul's out of there. It's all under your power now. Granted, it was a part of him, but it's not. He's inside of your child's body. Dravko Mas. Dravko Mas sought out to get some biologists to work on, to help experiment on the gamma eggs that he has to speed up the process of the eggs. The gamma monsters thing was something that I was working on, but that's been put on pause. So I'm going to revisit the reward that you have, but rest assured that you'll be on the up and up whenever I decide what we're going to do with the gamma monsters. I'm thinking maybe yours are kind of start off with a nice ahead of the crowd because of the biologists that you have working on them. But that's something I want to revisit. Lectern used his story option to be inducted into the network, which is a shadowy network. And it is a faction, and that faction comes with perks. You just have to use a story phase to get inducted into it. And that's what you did. We saw Lectern he had to make some sacrifices in order to make ends meet. And he still managed to come out on top of that because he is the master of coming in and making deals and coming out on top of deals, with his deceptive loopholes that he finds and so on and so forth. But Lectern, you automatically become a leader within the network faction. Every person who joins the network faction becomes a leader of their own faction. You get your own faction. Your faction will be supported by the pooled assets of all network factions. So any other network members, you all share a pool of assets. You and your faction members will receive the perk Ivan's Modified Ninjutsu, because you're part of the network now, which is ran by Ivan, and you get Ivan's Modified Ninjutsu training, which is a perk that justifies you having some nice little combat abilities, so you're not getting completely washed up when you're in a predicament where you have to fend for yourself. So it adds combat expertise. Also, you will receive a special enchanted cloak of concealment, providing a special stealth perk. So you'll get a cloak that's enchanted by Selena Rend. And that gives you some stealth capabilities as well. And every network member gets this, including Makai, who also used the story phase to join the network. And that's when we saw that she kind of, her and Alex Crow, which by the way is an NPC created by the player of Jacob Bastion. Alex Crow was someone I was going to make into a major character, decided not to though, but instead decided to make him the brother of Arold, which is a player. That's why I was calling them Arold and Alex Crow. They are now brothers because Alex Crow has multiple demons in him if you look at his character sheet and the NPCs. And I thought this would be a good origin story as to how Arold got that demon inside of him and came out of Alex's head. But anyway, Makai and Alex, she pulls unconscious Alex and she goes into the city to escape the Hope. If you recall, the Hope people, Hope is a supernatural faction. They were created by the player of Tempest, and they made their first appearance when they were hunting Kay McVeigh, who was the player of who was the character of Jesse Slater. And so the Hope groups the Hope group, it only would make sense that they would have a hospital for people who have demons inside of their head. So they were after Arold, Nam, and Alex. Makai and Alex went underground to an area that she's more familiar with, and she got them some work just so they can make some coin again, get back into stuff that she liked, the supernatural. So she's led to one of the brothels where we know that Selena Wren, resides and owns. And it's the same brothel that we saw that one character that came, we had a player that came and went, and his character's name was Eden Hargrave, and he was like a detective, and he was investigating a missing persons, and then he gets chased out by Selena because he accidentally rescues Kay McVeigh, who is being held hostage. But anyway, we see Makai return to that same place. We even make a nod toward Eden Hargrave. The person that gave her the mission was like, yeah, the last person we sent there, we didn't see him again. But we see Makai go there, and that's where she runs into some mysterious people who were likely associated with Selena Rend. But anyway, they are invited, and Makai ends up getting invited to a better opportunity to join the network. And so she gets the same perks, she becomes a leader of her own network faction. And I believe that the player wanted to kind of start getting into some supernatural detective stuff as well, or just supernatural things in general. She'll be able to do this with this faction that she now has. And Alex Crow is one of her first members, who has a lot of problems in his head. So that should be fun in regards to supernatural stuff. But your faction will be supported by pooled assets, like I said, and you get your cloak, and your Ivan's modified ninjutsu training, which should be interesting to see how you mix that with your current combat ability. Hell, if you want, it would make sense that we can probably turn that Ivan's modified ninjutsu into some sort of keyword if you want. We can talk about it. And that would kind of show that we're kind of mixing it in as a keyword to your already existing combat ability. Tempest, as I stated before, he chose a story option to learn his masterful teleportation ability or sleight of hand to get Haven Gate out of there, unite Haven Gate, and protect his daughter. R-Type X, his goal, he had a lot of goals, but I had to narrow it down to one, to just a little bit. He wanted to learn a new ability, but I felt that the ability he was trying to learn is something he's already capable of. Energy shifting, anything under the sun in regards to energy, he can pretty much do. So instead, he was able to erect the Taozen Temple, which is now going to be a faction. This temple was something that R-Type created. And the Gokin faction. He now has his own faction, the Gokin, but he also has the temple, which is where anybody who's interested in fighting and learning those ways of R-Type can go and become a part of. So any new players who are into that will be able to join that faction under R-Type X. Cervantes de Ageha is part of the Gokin, as well as Venryu Sai Ali. And Epony, of course. Epony, speaking of Epony, that whole scene with R-Type was just all about restoring R-Type to his normal self, because he was mutated and he looked kind of crazy under his armor. So she was able to create a pact with the planet. The planet is an artificial planet, so it was kind of weird. But there are some natural energies, and she was able to restore him. I also, within this pact of the planet, you two are now spiritually fused with each other through the pact of the planet. So Epony and R-Type, you'll have a connection as far as energy goes in the planet. Do what you will with that. Iglus, you are fully awakened. You have Selena Rend's body. You're fully awakened. Oh, I'm sorry. No, Iglus. You were fully awakened. You attacked the Atlas Basilisk. You were able to feed off of its energy, and with that, I'm starting your rank at awesome, just to kind of get you to get in there and shake some things up, as your own powerful entity, and want to see what you do with that. But your rank is awesome, which is it's either the highest or the second from the highest. Nyla Vector, I'm going to say that you are free now, even though you failed the role. Again, I want to get away from having you stuck in one place, but you were tossed off of the pyramid, so technically you're free. You're hurt, but you're free, both of you. And yeah. A lot happened in that episode, or that collection of episodes, but there's a lot of changes that are coming that have to be done to ensure that I can get back into a nice stride with, between my work schedule and the game. I have some big things in the pipeline that, I have some support now. I'm going to be, me and Rezanok are going to be working together on the YouTube channel, and he's going to be helping me in regards to some engagement pieces. And I'm actually looking forward to Gamma Haven 2019. And the changes that are coming are going to be for the betterment of the entire machine. If I'm going to make any changes, it has to be now, while the audience is still so little. So any players who are still dedicated to the game and still want to be involved, you're definitely more than welcome to play. I'd imagine with all the time that has passed between the last episode and now, and just as far as the frequency goes, my real life, my job gets a little crazy sometimes. It takes a lot of time away from me, but I literally worked on the past 4 episodes every single day from when that phase first went out. I was just chipping away at it little by little, writing a little bit every single day until I was able to finally start recording, and then I had to record a little bit every day. It was crazy, but I hope that everybody enjoyed the entertainment. I have no intention of stopping, and again, we can only go up from here. So that concludes all of the recaps. I'm going to get this finale phase out, and still not entirely sure how I want to approach that as far as who's going to be in it, but you'll know when you see the prompt. All right. Thank you.